Hi, welcome to A Closer Look. I'm Donna Giroux, the ED at CATV, and with me today is Tracy Hutchins, the president of the Upper Valley Business Alliance in New Hampshire. Tracy, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Donna, thanks for having me.
Cool. So much is happening. Business is being affected, and there is literally a tsunami of information that's been coming at us. Being that we're a media outlet, we get it both from Vermont and from New Hampshire and from the World Health Organization and from the CDC. So it's a little mind-boggling. So I thought I'd chat with you about what's going on in New Hampshire. But first, I wanted to ask you about the UVBA is new, isn't it?
It is. We actually have only been in existence since January 1, although we're the result of a merger of two long-standing organizations, the Lebanon Chamber of Commerce and the Hanover Chamber of Commerce. And when we came together, we changed our name and we've become the Upper Valley Business Alliance, or UVBA.
So that's strength in numbers, I'm assuming.
It is strength in numbers. Together, we have about 450 business members and nonprofits throughout the Upper Valley.
And I've been very impressed by, being that this is such a fluid situation, the whole economic response to the coronavirus. I wanted to tell you that I appreciate your updates that you send all the time. There's a lot of valuable information that I thought, if you weren't a member of the chamber, perhaps some of these smaller businesses or gig businesses, the single guy who's not part of the chamber might benefit from some of your sage wisdom. So I was wondering, what's going on in New Hampshire?
Well, a lot, Don. as you said, it has been a very fluid situation, and new information is coming out almost on a daily basis, and we've been trying to stay on top of it as it happens and send that information out to our members, but also our, just our full email distribution list, which is about 1,400. So it's been, just as you said, a tsunami of information from, what's happening at the federal level with the new CARES Act that has just been voted on late last week, to what's happening at the state level with unemployment benefits and the governor issuing a stay-at-home order last Thursday until May 4th. So there's been a lot going on.
But I notice you're still at work. You're not staying at home.
Well, our office is closed to the public, but yes.
I imagine you have a lot of work to do right now.
We have a lot of work, and we're still getting phone calls. People call a Chamber of Commerce because we've always been the information people. And so not only are we getting calls from our businesses, looking for information on how they can react, but we're getting calls from the public on things like, I had a lady call yesterday who was concerned that her son worked in New Hampshire, but was a Vermont resident, and could he still go to work and travel across the border? So lots of different, people looking for resources. So we're still here. We're still answering the phone.
So you're an aggregator of resources, basically, so that you then direct them. I know you had directed a call to me about somebody who needed immediate housing. This is the network, the Upper Valley Network. So I was curious, is there any tidbit for small business owners in New Hampshire, or somebody doing business in New Hampshire, that is interesting?
Well, what, with the stay-at-home order that was enacted last week, a lot of the information or what we've been asked by businesses is, they're trying to find a way to salvage any way to do business. Mm-hmm. Because if they're deemed non-essential, they've been asked to close their doors and send people home. And for some businesses, that's going to be a really difficult haul for them to do until May 4th. So we've been getting lots of questions about that. Is what does that mean? And prior to that order coming out late last week, a lot of businesses had already closed just for the health of themselves and their own employees. But they businesses have been getting very creative by offering pickup of goods and services at the curbside, or doing delivery. Our restaurants, of course, have all been shut down even prior to the stay-at-home order, and have been offering delivery or takeout. And so the big question was, could we still operate? And
Because originally he had the governor had given the impression that there would be no takeout, no retail handoff.
Right, exactly. Well, he did allow restaurants to continue. They were deemed essential, because for some people that's the main source of how they receive their food. But for non-essential businesses, such as a lot of different types of retail, no, they have been told that they cannot open and operate. And so that was one of the jobs that I had last week, was to try to find out, well, could they still continue doing delivery? Could they still consider or continue offering curbside pickup of goods? Because through all of this, the one thing that we really want to encourage people to do is to continue shopping locally if they can, because we are going to come out of this at some point. We will have a getting back to normal at some point, and we want those businesses to still be around when we get to that time frame. So yeah, it took most of the day and several calls to different state departments to ask them that question, and emphatically we were getting a no, businesses could not do that. And then at the very end of the day, literally like at 5:30, after closing hours, the governor did in fact do an interview on WMUR, where he said, oh yes, we actually can do curbside pickup and delivery. So it's changing moment to moment. And I think this is just a new situation for everyone, including our state government.
So I guess if you, as a responsible person, if you pick up something, let's say you call Michael's and they give you 10 easels and paints, curbside pickup, it's how long does a virus live on that product? So that's something, I saw something go through social media that told us the coronavirus, how long it lives on various types of material. And so I think people need to inform themselves about that, because if you are going to continue having a relationship with outside vendors, you really have to try to limit it, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. We really have to minimize contact and take all precautions. There's been some concern as to whether the virus lives on food, and should people get takeout from a restaurant? And the answer to that is the virus, in fact, does not live on food. However, there could be some risk to the containers that are used. So, certainly if you do takeout, and I hope people will, to support our local businesses, just use some precautions, wipe everything down, and, before you consume it, or, and like everyone is saying, wash your hands, wash your
A
hands.
piece of advice, and don't touch your face.
And
Sorry, I
don't
can't
touch
help
your
it.
face.
So I thought it was interesting. I think the chambers of commerce do such an important job, and thank you for your work. And so I went on the website of the U.S. Chamber, it's www.uschamber.gov, and they have a really nice recap for business owners on the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. I had to read that, so I'm just going to call it EFCRA to help businesses be in the know.
Yeah.
And it is an evolving situation. So this law goes into effect starting the 1st, which is, we're actually recording on the 31st. So it starts tomorrow. And in theory goes through December 31st of 2020. And what I thought was interesting, especially from a business standpoint, is that they've expanded both emergency leave and paid sick time. So all those people who might be watching this who are home taking care of either a sick person or their children, that's very helpful. But there's a few things that affect small businesses because, you know, CATV is a small business with under 50 employees, and we continue to work because we have been given an exemption from the state of Vermont as media trying to keep the community connected. So I was wondering if you had any comments about that. I would like to direct the businesses to that site. Are there do you have anything you might want to say about that? They have a tax credit. And I know Senator Jean Shaheen is, what is she? She actually sent out a press release that as a senior member of the Senate Committee on Small Business and Entrepreneurship, yay, go Senator Jean, she's basically pressuring Mnuchin and the administrator of the Small Business Administration to pony up the money right away. So that's interesting news. So I was wondering if you knew anything about that act that you might want to share.
Sure. So what the act essentially says is before COVID-19, businesses with more than 500 employees were required to offer paid family medical leave. And now businesses who did not have 500 employees had other restrictions, but were not required. Now all businesses with less than 500 employees are required, although some businesses who would have a risk if they were to offer it to their employees of, you know, closing their doors because of that, because of the loss of employees, can file for an exemption if they can make that case. So what it does is it offers 10 weeks of paid leave to employees if they meet certain conditions. So they would have had to have been employed for at least 3 months with the company that they work for. They would have to, and I have to also like look at notes because it's pretty involved.
It's new.
It is new.
It's brand new.
So they have, employed 30 days, not 3 months. If they need to care for children whose schools have closed due to the COVID-19 crisis, and if they are not able to work remotely while caring for those children or work remotely at all, they are eligible for the paid leave. The first 10 days of it may be unpaid, or they may need to take vacation time or accrued sick leave. But after that, the FMLA will kick in, and employees would then be paid at 2/3 of their normal salary or hourly rate.
So there's sort of the burden to the employee as you're not getting paid 100%, and you have to take your vacation and can't go anywhere.
Yeah, yes, and unfortunately that is true.
But it's important to the employer because, you know, after we end up going through this, if everyone then decided to take vacation once the economy is getting back up and running, it would be tragic probably for the employer.
Right. And you know, and it also offers some protections to the employees that you know, for most of them, their jobs would still be there as well. And the employers would actually receive tax credits, which are against the Social Security tax that they already have to pay. So the employer gets a financial incentive for being able to provide this for their employees.
So as an executive director, that's the first thing I pounced on was how am I going to get that tax credit? And so it seems pretty civilized. It's quarterly, I think, when you're basically, is it for state or federal Social Security? I can't remember.
Yes, for right, for federal Social Security.
Right. So it says quarterly private companies are entitled to fully refundable tax credits for both paid sick leave and paid FMLA, meaning Family and Medical Leave Act. So they're applied against the Social Security taxes we owe. So, so that it creates a tax sort of a cash flow is always an issue, especially during something like this. So that would help with cash flow, I imagine.
Right, exactly. Yes.
Cool. The thing that I found distressing when I read about this on uschamber.gov was, and it's understandable, but still distressing, was that the medical care and emergency response organizations are excluded because from this great package, because they are helping be our heroes to fight the coronavirus. So I just feel like everybody should really understand that the healthcare workers, they're really jumping into this and are not getting some of the benefits that we are as we hover and watch Netflix and work from home. So
right. Well, and and they're certainly at risk. A lot of people have taken to calling them the frontline workers, and that's exactly what they are, is they're on the front line of this crisis and dealing with it.
That's how I feel about the grocery store workers. They can't stay 6 feet away from you. It's a tough, and you're handing off money or touching things. And so go grocery stores. I like to eat.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So, is there anything else that you think that local businesses and by extension local employees should know? It sounds like some nets are being put into place and that it'll take a while to sort out. If somebody wants to find out more information, obviously this is the website I mentioned is one place. Are there other places that they can go to maybe find out what's going on in New Hampshire?
Yeah, there's numerous websites, but I think the easiest one is come to our website. We have a page on our website, which is COVID-19 for Businesses, and our website is uppervalleybusinessalliance.com. And we have been putting information on there, including a small business guide to the CARES Act. For businesses. So it's a place to start, and then certainly we're open to having any business, whether they're members of our organization or not, to contact us, or any other chambers in the area as well. There's, we are part of a network of chambers in New Hampshire and also here in the Upper Valley with our other neighboring chambers in Hartford and Claremont and the Cohos Chamber to the north of us, and certainly in the Woodstock Chamber. So I would urge a business to contact their local chamber and ask them, and they can be pointed in the right direction.
And the CARES Act is like the first of a series, or the sort of the act that was enacted before this expansion of the emergency of the Families First Coronavirus Relief Act. So there was already some relief in place, if I'm understanding this correctly.
So the CARES Act is what was just voted on by Congress last week and signed by the president, which
I thought it was the Families First Corona Response Act.
Well, there's been
or is that part of the CARES Act?
It's rolling all into one.
Okay.
But the CARES Act is addressing loans for businesses through the SBA and also the emergency disaster loans. There's two different things there. And what I would tell businesses is to definitely file, and start with your banker, start with your local banker, um, and talk to them about which of these is best, or your accountant or your tax attorney, whoever your team is. I think all of those professionals are watching this legislation very closely, and and learning it inside and out. um, but definitely, businesses, there's a lot of businesses that are going to need help. They're facing a loss of revenue, and this is where they can go for that help.
Great. I really appreciate you spending time with me, Tracy. And I'm hoping that we can do it again. Just keep updating during this pandemic, I guess. It's important to understand how strengthening sort of the communication with the business community, because it's through this business community that our economy fully is going to recover. So is there anything else you wanted to share with the community before we take off?
Um, I guess I would just say is, please continue shopping locally. There, you can. I know that right now people are hunkered down in their homes, and everyone is a little nervous what the future is going to look like. But if you have to buy somebody a birthday card, or a gift, consider doing it locally. In a lot of cases, you still can, just by contacting a local business and doing it over the phone. Or, I've been amazed at how creative businesses are getting in terms of, doing things on Facebook and FaceTiming and Zoom and doing webinars. And, I really want to applaud businesses who, this has been a time of innovation and invention, as well as scary as it has been. So I hope people will continue to support them.
Good, good. And they can always get a birthday card at the grocery store. Right?
Absolutely. Whatever it takes.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go. Stay safe, stay well. And thank you for watching another episode of A Closer Look.